everybody. This is the Charley Bean banana style patch box for an iron mounted southern rifle that we're going to try to fabricate. This is the end result, and I'll show you the process that I used to make this patch box. We're going to start by making the folds for the hinge in the first part, and in the second part we'll actually make the knuckles for the hinge, join the patch box together. Okay, so hope you enjoy the first part of this, and this is my first video, so bear with me, and we'll do the best that I can do, and hopefully it'll be clear. Thank you very much. This is the pattern for the Charley Bean patch box I took off the original gun. So this is the dimensions, and I hope you can see this. It doesn't show up very well on my screen, but I'm hoping that it will be better on yours. Okay guys, what I've done is I've went ahead and I've cut two pieces of my sheet material. One is for the finial and the longer one is for the door. Now both of these pieces are long right at the moment, but what I've done is I went and I've squared everything up and got it ready to make my hinge. Okay, and this device right here is what I use to help form my hinge on the patch box, and I'll try to demonstrate that. Hopefully it'll be clear enough, but we'll see how it goes. Here I've got my plate set up to make a 90-degree bend. I've got my former here. Of course, my vice jaws are padded with aluminum jaws so that they don't mark my steel. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a 90-degree bend. Alright, I'm just going to take my cross peen and I'm just going to cold bend the 90-degree. Didn't have that quite tight enough. Just to get the bend started. Now that I've got my bend started, I can put it in my hinge maker and clamp the vise here and start my reverse bend to start making my hinge. The reason I'm doing that there is to try to keep the hinge as tight as possible. Alright, now we have the start of a good hinge. See if you can see that. I'm going to continue to fold that over, but I'm going to run a piece of piano wire in that start of that bend right there so it won't collapse on me. I like to use piano wire because it's hardened, but yet it's flexible enough that I can kind of bend it a little bit, but it's not soft. It's good for making springs, it's good for making pins, and it's good for keeping your hinge from collapsing. So now you can see, hopefully you can see how that piano wire fits up in there, and I can go ahead and close this in my vise. So there you have a nice, neat hinge, preliminary hinge. It hasn't got the knuckles cut in it yet, but it's nice and clean, nice and tight, and it fits my piano wire really well. Okay, so now on to the other end, to the door end. This is the finial end. I dropped down about a ½ inch to start it because I don't want a lot of excess on the opposite side of the bend, on the side that you don't see. That way I don't have to try to file it off or fool with it after I've got it bent. Try to keep everything nice and square, that way when you make your bend, your finial and your door will match up very well. Okay, got our bend. Now we stick that back in our little hinge maker here. See if we can get everything lined up. I know everybody's thinking, why don't he attach those pads on those jaws? But I take them on and off, and I use wooden ones also that I've made. So it's just a bigger pain to take them on and off when they're attached than they are if I just use them loose. And this is just a piece of steel that I cut. It's tool steel, and made a little flat, kind of semi-flat, kind of rounded a little bit, polished it so I could kind of close things up like that. And I also made a little bit of a rounded end too. So if I'm doing something I'm punching from the inside that I rounded, I can use that. Oh, you can see, doing this a little different this time. Yeah, just out of view. See if I, there we go, turn it down. You won't be able to see me, but that shouldn't be any problem. Nobody really wants to look at me anyway. know if you can see this sharp edge on my little anvil here on my vise, but I put, let's see if I can get back in camera here, this edge here up against that, so when I pounded this closed, I could maintain that edge right there. Okay, so let's see, there you go. That's the start of the door and the finial with the hinge made. Now I have to cut the knuckles. What I'm probably going to go ahead and do first, though, is I'm going to silver solder the two seams there so they won't spread on me as I'm working on this. Another handy little gadget that you keep around the shop is Q-tips. Good for a lot of things. Here I'm going to flux my joint so my solder will flow good into the joint. Clean it a little bit. Make sure I got plenty of good flux down in there. I'll cut me a length of solder, about the right length. And put it in my joint. Then I'm going to heat it. And hopefully you can see, getting it in the camera here, that got a nice joint right there, silver soldered. That ain't coming apart. Alright, now we'll do the other piece. And this is I don't know if you can see that or not. I got it from Brownell's Comet Flux, made by Knapp, and I believe this is their 4440 silver solder. Works very well. Okay, that was a pretty joint there. Didn't get the other one. I got just a little bit too hot. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I'm gonna get over here in the camera. There we go. Nicely made joint. Alright. Let those cool just a little bit, and we'll come back and I'll get the knuckles laid out. Well, folks, that concludes part one of making the hinge for the Charley Bean patch box. This will continue in part two, and the time took a little longer than I thought it was going to, so that's why we had to make two parts. So I hope you enjoyed the first part, and I hope you come back for the second part. And as always, I wish that God blesses you and watches over you and keeps you safe.